Let's fucking do it. What the fuck is up, my little cats and kittens? And welcome to another episode of the OVER Sharra Podcast. I am your host, Sharra Coley, and today and every day I'm going to be doing what I do best, which is oversharing about whatever the fuck I want to, because here on my podcast, the OVER Sharra Podcast, we believe that oversharing is caring. So let's get into it. Alrighty, y'all. There has been a lot happening. We just finished up Mardi Gras season, so have a lot to share with you there. And then if you're watching this, you can see my small baby cat, Slim, also known as Slimmy Jimmy. He is crawling on me. He's my little snuggly buggly, and I love him so much. And he had quite the scare. So since he's in my lap and he's already here, I'll just go ahead and update you on that. Slim, over literally the week of Mardi Gras, I guess it started on the Sunday before Mardi Gras. I got up and he just was struggling to walk. Like, he had very slow motor control, like he was falling over a lot. His front paws were like knuckling over. And at first I was like, maybe he just has like slippery paws. I call him slippers sometimes because he has like the softest paws I've ever felt in my life. He is the softest cat I've ever had. Like, literally anybody who touches him, I'm like, he's so soft. He's so soft. Well, his paws are also really soft. So I was like, maybe they're just like extra furry and he's like slipping. And the fur on the underneath part of his pads was pretty long. So I trimmed it and thought maybe he was just slip sliding around. Well, that didn't help. So that was like Sunday midday when I noticed that happening. And by Sunday night, I just was too worried. I was like, what if it's like something urgent? So I called the like emergency pet vet or whatever and asked them, like, does this sound like something I need to like emergency bring him in? And they, told me yes and whatever. So I took him in and he was stable enough. Like, he's never lost his appetite or anything like that. Anyhow, I really wanted to wait to be able to go take him to his regular vet just because they've been caring for him since he was a kitten and have all of his charts and everything like that. Plus the emergency vet is super expensive. The emergency vet I usually go to was closed because they're on the parade route. So like, it was just like stressful in and of itself because the places I normally would go were not operating because of Mardi Gras. So took him in and then went to go see his vet, and it was really scary at first because they really didn't know what was wrong. So I booked an appointment, which was really annoying. I lost a $50 deposit. That's so annoying that you like have to pay a deposit, and whether you can make the appointment or not, they're just like, it's non-refundable. Anyhow, booked a neurologist appointment, but then I literally got home and the vet over there was so great. Like, she was just so wonderful. She had already made all the calls for me, like had all the price estimates for me, and just like really helped me along. So shout out if you live in the New Orleans area, Westside Veterinarian Hospital, I think is what it's called. It's Westside. I call it Westside Vet. They're fantastic. I've always had a really great experience. I was exposed to them through Tomatoes Foster's Club, which is where I got Slim and Shrimps. And I've just always, they're very affordable. They're not the kind of place that's just going to like do things to charge you money. They're very upfront. So if you live in the area, I highly recommend them. They're very affordable and just so kind. So anyway, so she called me and was like, look, his blood work came back and this is really concerning. It's really indicative of something called FIP. And she had already gone through a couple of things that she said it could be. And FIP was one of the things she was like, that would be kind of a worst case scenario. However, within the last year, they've approved a drug in the United States to treat FIP in cats. It doesn't cure it, but it does treat it, and it will, help him improve if he responds to it, etc. And it typically has anywhere between like an 80 to an 85% response rate. So luckily, this drug within literally the last year, he's 8 months old, has been approved. So she just said, like, because my original plan was I was going to take him to the hospital in Baton Rouge on Wednesday morning just because of Mardi Gras The regular team of doctors wasn't even going to be in there on Tuesday. So I was just like, does it make sense for me to take him when like the doctor's not even going to be there? But I knew I wanted to take him to the LSU hospital because if he needed a neurologist, a radiologist, any sort of like specialist, they all exist there. So I'm not going to have to keep transferring him around and paying all these like new admittance fees. And then, they were like, I want to rerun the same test that they did because I didn't run it before. So I was like, I'm just going to take him to Baton Rouge. It seems like the best place to go. And even the vet, she was like, I really think that that's a smart option. And when she called me though, she was like, I really don't think that you should wait until Wednesday. I think that you need to take him. It's pretty indicative of FIP. And if it is, then we need to get him started on the medicine like ASAP because it can decline very rapidly. Like we have no idea how aggressively this is moving in his body, And so I was like, okay, I was freaking out. Like I was already having kind of a week, just like emotionally. I had forgotten to take my SSRI a couple days in a row. And so that really kind of like messes just with your hormones in general. And so then it was also like the week before my period, which is when I start getting like emotionally just like kind of, it's easy for me to be on edge or like on the verge of tears. And just stressed about medical stuff. Like I've recently switched over my medical everything, and it is just so fucking stressful to deal with the medical industry. Like it is abysmal, the system that exists in the United States. Like being chronically ill in America should not be this expensive and this hard. I have had to be on the phone for just hours at a time with patient care coordinators and my doctors and my pharmacists and all of these people. And it's just like, thank God I have a couple of good doctors who actually give a shit, and like my pharmacists, and they're responsive, because you still just have to advocate for yourself. It's a nightmare. So I've been stressed about that. So I was already having a week. And then when he started declining, I was just an absolute wreck. So quite frankly, I didn't know if I was even going to make it out for Mardi Gras Day. I had taken him to the hospital the night before Mardi Gras. And then on Tuesday, it was Mardi Gras Day. I decided, I'm going to go out because what else can I do? I'm going to sit around and cry. I had been crying already for like 4 days. So I just was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go out for just a good distraction. There's nothing I can do. I worked so hard and so long on my costume. Like I want to go out. So I went into the day also knowing like I don't want to over drink, because over drinking when I'm emotional never turns out well. If there's anything that I have learned about myself is that when I'm in a heightened state of emotions, I do not need to get like drunk, right? I need to pace myself. Like I can drink, but like slow and socially. So I was good about that. Like I really did. I had 3 drinks from the time I got there until the time that I left. And like 2 of them were purple drinks. Yes, but I was sharing them. I wasn't just like drinking them by myself. Was, really pacing that. But then as I was leaving, I ran into one of my ex's best friends, and even like throughout that day, I was already kind of like anxious about potentially running into my old friend group. Not because I have any like hard feelings towards them or anything like that, but just like perceived awkwardness, like not really knowing how they would respond to me. But I just already that morning was like everybody on Mardi Gras Day, especially like people that I run with and like even in different crews, like we all kind of hang out in the same spots. It's very likely that you're going to run into people that throughout the day, because there's just certain parts that are more concentrated and popular to go, and that's where people end up. Like we were running into people all day long. So I knew that the likeliness of running into them was at least there. So we did end up running into my friend group, and that just kind of got into my head, made me definitely very anxious while it was all happening, because it literally was like a head-on collision. Like we literally like we're walking down the street this way, and you can't see me, but we were walking one way and they were coming towards us. And one of the people in the group also works with me at the gym and is, the significant other of one of the people in the group. So like we were all like, ah, da, da, da. And then it was like the whole energy shifted. It was just, I felt really awkward, and it definitely like got my adrenaline rushing a lot. So like I kind of, had to work myself down from that. And so that was a part of my day. And then as I was leaving, I ran into one of my ex's best friends, and it just was also like a very awkward interaction. They said something super just strange to me that made me feel really weird as I was leaving, and I was alone when this happened. So I just really was in my head, and I think all of the anxiety that I was having just in general in life about my cat, about medicals, like just everything that I emotionally have been dealing with inside just really kind of started coming on, and my phone died, so I didn't have a way to call anybody, call an Uber or anything like that. So I was having to rely on public transportation. Well, I got on the bus and I was talking to the bus driver because I've never taken public transportation before. So also contributing to more of my anxiety that ended up resulting in a panic attack is that the first time I've ever taken public transportation in New Orleans is when my phone is dead on Mardi Gras Day and I'm half naked in bubble wrap. Not setting me up for success there, you know, just not really. And I even had the thought, but again, I was just like I'm just scatterbrained. I left my keys in the floorboard of my car when I went to go park my car. I left the gloves that I wanted to wear with my costume also in the floorboard of my car when I parked my car to go call my Uber, because it's easier to drive across town and park to get an Uber to go to the quarter than it is to get an Uber from where I live because of the parade route. So that's what I had done that morning, and just was so moving fast, just like not mentally present because I was tired and my mind in so many different places, that left my keys in my car. Didn't realize it the entire day. Like, it never even, I thought I left my gloves in the Uber. Like, it didn't even occur to me that they could have been in my car. And I also had the thought before I left the house of like, grab your charger, because my phone dies pretty easily, especially like, you know, if I'm taking pictures and stuff a lot or videos or anything like that, it's going to die faster. So I typically bring a charger with me because I know myself and I know my charger. I've, of course, fucking forgot that. So just didn't have the things that I normally have to make myself prepared for situations to avoid anxiety, panic, and all of the things that I ended up experiencing that day. So I get on the bus and I'm talking to the bus driver and just like, hi, like, I've never ridden public transportation. Can you tell me where I need to transfer and which bus I need to get on? And he was like, whoa, well, it's Mardi Gras Day, so all of the regular routes aren't running, and pretty much like you can't really go anywhere on public transportation past Canal Street. Well, Canal Street is nowhere near where I live. Like, it's like 4 miles from where I live. And I'm in heels, dressed half naked. I was like, I guess I could take my shoes off, but at the same time, like, I'm half naked, alone, without a phone. Like, I did not feel safe. So I really just kind of started freaking out. I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? And I've never had a panic attack. I've had anxiety attacks before, but I've never had a panic attack. And I started having trouble, like, regulating myself. And, like, it was just the scariest thing to experience, especially like alone in that situation. And so I talked about it on social media if you follow me, but if you don't, I'm going to talk about it here. But I was so disturbed by the fact that I approached a female cop because that's what I thought I should do. Like, okay, there's a female cop parked here. I'm going to ask her for help because I don't know what else to do. And this is somebody who is supposed to like be there to help protect and serve the community. So I knock on her window and I'm just like, hi, I'm having a panic attack. I'm having trouble catching my breath. My phone is dead. Is there anything that you can do for me? And she was like, well, get in the back of my car. And I even tried to make a joke. I was like, I've never been so excited to like voluntarily get into the back of a cop car. She went to go charge my phone and she had a C charger and I have a lightning charger for my phone. And she was like, well, unfortunately, my charger's not going to work for you. So there's really nothing else that I can do for you. And I was like, oh, like I didn't really know how to respond, because how do you respond to authority, right? Like in that moment, it was just like, okay, well, I don't want to like seem like I'm pushing back or like being rude or anything, and or like belligerent. Again, like I'm freaking out inside. And so I just comply and I'm like, oh, okay. Like I get out, and this is obviously worse for my panic attack that I'm having. And so I somebody had walked into this door of this hotel, because typically you need like a key to get in. And I like caught the door behind them, and I walk in, and I'm also mortified that like I can't keep it together. And I'm like, you know, like it's embarrassing to be experiencing this in public alone. Like also people probably just thought I was like some drunk girl. Who knows? I don't really give a fuck what people thought. But I walk up to the concierge and I was just like, I'm having a panic attack. My phone is dead. I need to get home. I like just trying to explain the situation. The girl at the front desk was super, super nice. I don't even know what hotel I was in because I didn't look. I literally just like sightlined this person walking into the door and I could tell it was a hotel, and I just like went in behind them. So the lady at the front desk was super, super nice. Like she called a cab for me, and she was like, I'll charge your phone. But me standing there while people were like coming up and checking in or like talking to them, and I'm like still actively like not really like holding, again, I'm also half naked. Like it's Mardi Gras day. I've got a headpiece on. I'm in bubble wrap. Like I draw a lot of attention. Okay. Which is not what I want in this moment. So I basically wait for my phone to charge enough to have like some juice to stay on. Like that's not going to get me an Uber or anything like that. But I didn't feel comfortable to just continue to stand there and wait while my phone charged while people are staring at me. And it just felt, it was making me feel worse. So I went outside, sat on the stoop, and I just was like holding myself. Like I was like, I had my arms wrapped around myself here, and I was just like trying to like do everything that I knew to do, box breathing, all the things, try to get myself to calm down. And it was a really terrible feeling. And these ladies saw me on the side of the street, and they pulled over, and they came and they helped me, and they brought me home, and they helped me get in my house. Like, even though I forgot my keys, like, just to round out the story, I feel like I don't want to keep running through it because it was not a fun experience. But that's how my Mardi Gras day was. So it was like this really, really great day. It was the first day that I've ever done Mardi Gras with this group of people, and it was so fun. Like, it was so fun. So just low stress. It was also awesome because two of the people in the crew have a parking lot that they like own. They own a lot down there where it's like 8 blocks from one of the bars that we were hanging out for a good portion of the day. So it was so nice. We could basically go take breaks from the crowd, go pee, have a snack, like sit down, touch up our makeup. I brought stuff to fix my costume because it's made out of plastic. So I'm like repairing my costume as needed. So it was just like a really just like chill, low stress day. And I had a really, really, really great time until I didn't. It was also really cool because I met people out there who have seen me create my costume online, and they were like, oh, I saw you making your costume online. So that felt really cool to see that people were invested in the process. And I've also decided, my mom actually convinced me of this. She called me after, and she was like, Sharra, you have a talent that you just need to do. And I mean, it's true. I do. And I've known that. I just don't know if it's one of those things that, like, if I do it, if I'm going to lose the enjoyment of it because it's not for me. It's not for like something that's for fun. It's like something that's for money. But I guess I'm going to try it out. I might sell a couple of pieces. I think I'm going to make a couple of jackets and sell them on Etsy. Mardi Gras jackets, Saints jackets, or something like that. But yeah, I'm really good at like rhinestoning things. Like the costume that I made for Spaceball, it really did turn out great. And I think something that I can pat myself on the back for is that the way that my brain works is like I don't really need to create the vision first. Like I never really figure out what I'm gonna do before I just start doing it. Like I just kind of let it unfold as it goes. When I'm doing like rhinestoning and things like that, like I can get inspiration and I can get ideas, but like truly with my costume that I did for Spaceball, I kind of started with a different thought and was just like, this isn't really working out. So like, let me pivot and like do this. And it turned out great. Like even the people in the crew were like, this looks professionally done. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty good at it. So I think I'm just going to make some jackets, sell some headpieces or something like that, because it's a craft that I can do on the side and I enjoy doing, and it really is, it's one of those things I have found that it's similar to painting that like really truly does kind of get me out of my head, because I feel like my brain is just like always moving. I talk about it a good bit on here that like my brain is constantly moving. I'm thinking about 9 different things at one time. I'm having conversations. I'm thinking like it is just nonstop in there. So when I do things like when I was painting in here, painting my cabinets, when I'm making costumes or I'm creating crafts or doing things like that, like it really does take me out of here and like bring me into the present or just bring me out of my head. People were like, how long did it take you to do your costume for Spaceball? And I was like, 5 seasons of Schitt's Creek. I rewatched Schitt's Creek. It's like easy to put on in the background when you're doing something. It's so funny. So I rewatched the entire series. So yeah, 5 seasons of Schitt's Creek is how long it took me to rhinestone that costume, and maybe even a little bit more. I'm pretty sure I watched some additional things in there, maybe some movies in there. Who knows? I don't know. Again, I like kind of drift off and time just passes. So that's the update on Mardi Gras. It was super fun. I really didn't do a whole lot, but I did exactly what I wanted to do. I like to go out for like 3 things over the course of Mardi Gras, and they're mostly parties and like the earlier parades, the walking parades. Crew de Vue was too cold for me this year. I am a fair weather gal. I have zero interest in being uncomfortable. Why do I want to go sit out there and be miserable? And like, that's just not enjoyable for me. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I'll just get fucked up and I don't feel it. That is not how my body works. Like, there is no level of fucked upness that I'm not going to feel the cold when there's 13-degree wind chill. Like, no. That's also how I don't understand, like, Buffalo fans. Why? Or like Green Bay fans. There is no lore there. There is no lore in sitting out in a fucking blizzard. None. Zero lore. I would rather be cozy inside. I'll go sit in the suite where I can take my jacket off and I can have some drinks and watch it on the screen and still be a part of the crowd and the experience. Ain't no way in hell I'm going to be sitting outside. Ain't no way in hell. So yeah, so I'm a fair weather gal. So I skipped Crew de Vue this year because it was far too cold. And so I did Chewbacca's, had a friend in town for that, my best friend. It was so fun. Then did Spaceball, also phenomenal time. Very cool to go with people who are also like a very like big part of the crew who puts it on. So super, super fun. Got to do that and then went out for Mardi Gras Day. So those are my Mardi Gras updates. Also, I'll give you a little background on where my costume came from. So where the idea for my Mardi Gras costume came from actually comes from sort of how I've approached the political climate in general over the past 6 years. Since COVID, like, I really just had to check out of a lot. And even still, like, I just can't be too exposed. It just is too anxiety inducing for me. It just, like, gets me too riled up. So, like, there is some level of checked outness. And I know that that's a privilege. I do understand that. But I am not afraid or ashamed to admit it. I have to stay checked out to it to a certain level. I've definitely started paying more attention than I have in the last, year and a half or so, I guess. But when COVID and all that started happening, like, I used to listen to NPR every morning to stay informed and, like, do all the things. But it just became too much. There was too much negative stuff. And we are just not intended to be exposed to this much shit. It is already enough that we're exposed to seeing all of the violent murders on the internet. Like, we just literally are watching people get unalived openly on the interweb. It's crazy. We're not meant to see that. That's not positive and healthy, and it gets me worked up. I want to limit my exposure to that type of thing as much as humanly possible. So I have said that for the last, since COVID times, I've lived in a bubble on purpose, intentionally. I've had to check out from a lot of it. And so where this came from was just like a little bit of like coming out of that bubble. All of the bubble wrap that I got was recycled from like packages and things, like some packages my mom sent me, some packages of things I've ordered, some packages from where I used to work. Recycled it and was like, I can just save this and make things out of it, because this is just, I can like turn trash into treasure. And so that's where the idea stemmed from, though. That's like the concept of it was, I've been living in a bubble and I'm coming out of it a little bit, but not completely. So I'm still like half naked in my bubble, not fully exposed out of the bubble. But that's where the idea came from, and it turned out super cute. I was really proud of how it turned out. Don't know how I created a costume out of plastic and bubble wrap, but goes to show you that you can create things out of pretty much anything. So let your mind and your imagination take you to the sky, people. The sky is the limit. It can be past the sky. We even have space. Space is the limit, people. Maybe. Okay, moving on. I did meet somebody on Mardi Gras Day, though, so obviously it's very early, and so the ruling is not out yet, right? What day is it? It's been a week since we met, but we met while I was in line buying us some purple drinks, me and another friend, a purple drink. And I was standing there. It was funny because two of the girls that were in the crew were in the group that he was hanging out with, were talking about how I had a nice body. And I overheard them, and I looked over, and in true Sharra fashion, I interjected myself. I just put myself into the conversation and, started a little bit of banter, and he and I just kind of hit it off a little bit. And the girls in the group basically forced us to exchange numbers in the moment. And then I ended up going about my day, but we ran into each other again when I went back in line to go buy people in the group another round of purple drinks. And so we hung out again while I was in line. And so we have gone on a couple dates. We'll call him Army Man because he used to be in the Army. But yeah, we've hung out a couple of times. It's really funny because he's completely opposite of what I've ever talked about my type being. And so that's a little bit of what I'm going to talk about on today's episode of sometimes going against your type can be a good thing, or like why types can like really limit us. I am somebody who notoriously, I would say, has a type. I have considered myself to have a type. I typically like men who are a little bit more on like, I guess like burlier side, like a hairier guy, like just a man's man type of guy, like a very masculine man. But there's also this part of me that feels like with each of those people, I've lacked a bit of depth. And I think that has been missing. And there's also been a lack of emotional availability and all of those things. So I think as I'm just learning more about myself and what I want in a partner and what I'm willing to sacrifice and what I'm not willing to sacrifice, it's allowing me, like with this person that I met with Army Man, it's allowing me to actually pay attention to other things other than just these like boxes that are going to keep me trapped in or are like going to keep me missing out on some really positive experiences. And I think something too that I want to get away from is that like it doesn't always have to be this like this like super high chemistry thing all the time. Granted, we have and had that. Like it's been an interesting time getting to know this person, but like I think that's something I'm paying attention to because I've gotten to the place where I'm so tired of repeating the pattern that I'm noticing different things that I'm willing to step outside of my comfort zone. So it was really funny. Our first date, if you've listened to this podcast at all or know anything about me, you know that one of my things about men is I, for some reason, have a thing about men and flip-flops. I just do not like the thong between the toes, like the toes being out in that way. I don't know what it is, but flip-flops are not for me when it comes to men. And so this man shows up with fucking flip-flops on to our first date. And I absolutely told him, and I was like, I'm not going to lie. Flip-flops are something that like absolutely get to me. I am appalled that your toes are out in public right now, but I still think that you're cute. And he just like laughed about it and was like, went on to be like, and these are my new pair of flip-flops. Like he's a pool guy. I don't want to give too much away about him. But yeah, so like this man wears a lot of fucking flip-flops. So that's what I mean, okay? Not allowing myself to be like, flip-flops, nope. Like I can be open to flip-flops because you know what you can change about a man is his attire. You know what you can't change about a man is his character. So you can change his clothes, but not his character, okay? So let's stop paying attention, even me, to all of the superficial, materialistic shit that just does not matter. I've never really been the girl that's turned on by material things like the type of car you drive or like your money. Like, does it feel nice if you're somebody who has those things because you've worked for them and, you know, that's your choice? Sure. But like, that's not what gets me drawn to somebody. I'm not drawn to what they can provide for me monetarily in that way. Would it be nice? Absolutely. But is it the bar? Not at all. Now, do I want someone who has just like no ambition, is like a lazy fuck and has no money and is broke? No, but I don't need this person to be rich. If they do things that bring them joy and make them happy, that's all. And they're a good person and they treat me good. That's what I'm looking for. So I don't give a shit. But I would say that something that does turn me on about a man is when he's a good dresser. But a lot of men out there need help. And a lot of good dressers probably had women in their life helping them along the way, or they might be in like the creative field, so they have a little bit different mind. But for the most part, if a man is a good dresser, it's because he had a woman helping influence that. Even being in retail for as long as I was, like, most men aren't making decisions on their clothes alone. They're bringing their wife in. They even stop remembering what size they wear. They just start relying on the woman to take care of them like they're fucking moms. However, you can alter a man's clothes. You can start buying him things and be like, I think this would look great on you. There's a way to change a man's attire. So I'm more focused now on character things. How does this person show up for me? How does this person adapt? How does this person show up in my daily life? Because like those are the things that matter. You know, going on dates and all that kind of stuff is so fun, but it's also like, how do they also start to intertwine with what your like daily routine is? Because like I'm also a fairly routined person, so like having too much stuff happen, too much connection throughout the week is stressful for me. So like planned time together is important so that I can kind of like maneuver my week and my things around. Like I like plans. I can also be spontaneous, but I like plans. So it's also like how, like if they want to hang out with me, how can you also like bend and come into my world sometimes and vice versa? What does that look like? So it's attractive. And this person came and worked out with me, which I thought was really brave. You know, like in a class, like not even just like just the two of us. Like it was like a class structure they've never gone to. They've never experienced this. They haven't worked out in a while. And I thought that was really cool and really hot. I was like, okay, you're willing to potentially like maybe feel or look stupid. Like also, I'm really good at working out. I mean, we met on the premise of your girlfriends in the group saying that I have a nice body. I work out. I work in fitness. I manage 2 gyms, and I am good at the working out. I'll say that. So that was attractive. I was like, 10 points for you, sir. So yeah, enjoying that and enjoying stepping outside of my quote unquote comfort zone a little bit. Maybe a different type is just what the doctor ordered. We'll see. Oh, something else that I want to bring up on the topic of dating is, can you stop people? Please stop saying shit to, whether it's your friends, guy, girl, whoever, if it's a stranger, stop saying shit like, when y'all get married, or y'all better get married, or don't break her heart. Like, stop saying weird shit like that. Well, if you heard her, like, if it's like the first couple of dates or the first time they're meeting you, like, please stop. It's so uncomfortable. Me and the army man were out on our first date, and this family over, like, sitting kind of catty-corner to us, we struck up a conversation. So I don't even know how we got to talking. Oh, because we ordered espresso martinis and they asked us about them. So we were talking or whatever, and they asked us if we were married, and I was like, oh no. And the lady was like, why do you say it like that? She was really silent. Why do you say it like that? And I was like, because we're on our first date. And they were like, oh my gosh, y'all look so good together. Y'all just seem so comfortable. That means y'all need to get married. Like, y'all better get married. And they just kept talking about like a wedding. And it was fucking, I'm like, lady, shut the fuck up. Like, ha 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 ha. It's funny. Yeah, we're having a great time. We're comfortable. Whatever. Fine. But that's awkward. Shut the fuck up. So if you have friends and you do that, oh, when y'all get married, and it's like their first or second date because they're like hitting it off, they're having a good time, they're vibing, whatever it is, like, you know, that puts a lot of pressure on things to like, even subconsciously, at least for the woman, to like start thinking of this person in that context when maybe you weren't even thinking. Like, I think going on a date, right, especially at this age, I mean, I'm 37 about to be 38, he's 42 about to be 43. Like, at this age, you're typically not just dating to fuck around, but I mean, you could. But I think if you're seeking partnership, anytime you go on a date, first date, second date, whatever it is, you meet somebody, it does enter your mind of like, oh, could this could this be, like it's exciting. It like always strikes that maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Automatically you're just like, what's your last name? Like, what's your zodiac sign? Let me go research you. Don't act like you don't do it. We all fucking do it, you liar. We stalk immediately. And then you're like, I don't know. Could your last name? I would keep my last name. We start going through the crazy shit in our heads. Anyways, so stop saying that shit because we're already either thinking it and feeling insane, or we're like not thinking about it at all. And we're like, great. Now this feels like, should I feel this? Should I not feel it? Like, it's just stop. It's weird. That's all I'll say about it. But yeah, just circling back to that is, if you are somebody who is in the dating pool, in the dating world, or newly single, anything like that, my advice to you is to not trap yourself in a type or in the boxes. If you're really looking for true partnership, it has to be more than just the chemistry. Yes, you still want the chemistry to be there, right? Like, desire is the root of a healthy relationship. You need desire to be alive. The moment that desire starts fading is when you have to start implementing different things to keep a relationship alive. Otherwise, it just dies. Like, desire is what keeps people in a relationship together. But I think in something that I'm paying more attention to and being more conscious of is just being intentional with paying attention more to the things that align with my values. I just think that there's just like different things that I'm paying attention to, and like less of these other just boxes, looks, and like, I mean, they are important, but like they don't need to be just like, oh, he needs to be this height and this long hair or these color eyes and, this ethnicity. And I think that like it can just being a little bit more open-minded. I think that there's just more opportunity for alignment on the things that actually matter. So that's my advice, is to maybe like step outside of your comfort zone, step outside of the box, and like really truly like challenge your mind, because that's also like your mind is also going to try and trick you. Your mind is going to try and trick you because it's going against your norm, right? It's going against your rules that you set for yourself already. It's going to feel strange and you're going to like initially want to reject it because of that. So my advice is to allow yourself, if you enjoy it. I'm not saying like if you're not enjoying it, but like I think that it can take some evaluating of whether it's something that is kind of triggering for you because it's going against your norm and your rules and your boxes, or if it's actually something you're just like, it's just not there. Like it just doesn't exist. So like just have some discernment with that and like take the time to evaluate it. That's actually something that I have to do sometimes where, I'm, in my head about something. I'm like, is this your intuition or is this your insecurity? Because there is a difference. And being able to step back from that or step out of that and evaluate those things and be like, okay, this is anxiety. What is the data? What is the actual situation telling me? And what is it like an old pattern telling me of like, oh, he wore flip-flops. Can't have it. The fucking flip-flops. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is how to stay excited about life, because sometimes, life can get boring. I recently was at a bar and overheard a conversation between this guy and the bartender, and the guy was like, man, like enjoy it now, because the bartender was like 23 and he was like talking about how he's going to be moving off to California and da-da-da, and the guy was like, enjoy it now, like life gets boring. And I'm just like, no, it doesn't. And my initial reaction was like, just don't go off and get married and have kids. And I genuinely believe that. I genuinely believe that like, if that is the path that you want, fine. I'm not trying to shit on that. I'm not trying to say that if you get married and have kids that your life is going to be boring and shitty. I'm just saying that I think that when you go off and do that too young, too early, before you've gone off and like figured out who you are and what you want and lived a little and all that, yeah, your life probably is going to end up in a place that feels dull and boring because you didn't get to figure all that out first. And then you just kind of wake up in this situation of like, man, now I feel like I didn't even experience the thing. So like when that guy said it, I was like, did you get married and have kids? And like, da-da-da. He was like, yeah, I did. And I was like, see, like you just chose a path that didn't lead to excitement. And I see couples who are married and have kids who can have a very fun life, but you also have to understand that it takes a bit of financial security to be able to do that. The people I see having the most fun are the ones who have the financial means to get babysitters and nannies and like have their kids not on the vacation for the weekend, or like they can go on vacation by themselves, or they take the whole family to Paris. It's just like they have the means to do those things to make it continue to feel exciting. But I think the most important thing about keeping life exciting, and it's not always going to feel exciting, but is to always have something to like plan things to look forward to. And it doesn't have to be these grand things, right? Like it can be literally a Friday night in with yourself. Like I've already been thinking about that. Like, man, like I really am just feeling like I want to get back into the dance studio. I've had a lot of stress lately. Like just getting back into my creative side this year is already something that is just like I'm driven to do. I was at Spaceball over Mardi Gras and I saw the girls on the aerial hoops and things like that. And I was like, that's just so fucking cool and hot. And like, they're just so strong. I want to learn how to do that. So I'm going to get into some aerial hoop classes. Like, I just want to continue exploring all of my creative side of myself while I have the ability to do it. Like my body still works and I'm able and I can. So why the fuck not? So yeah, I've already been like romanticizing my Friday night of like, I'm going to go take a dance class because that's good for my soul. And then I'm going to like cook myself some spaghetti and drink some wine and have a Friday night in. And I'm excited about it. It's not that I'm having to like go out and do this thing. Like you can even have a night where like, I just want to get dressed up and like stay in, or take myself out to a girl dinner, sit at the bar, have a cocktail, a salad and some fries, and go enjoy your night. Get a ticket to the movie theater. Go, like you can do all of these like little things. You can do things that don't even cost money, or like crafting. Like there's just like these little things, concerts, obviously vacations, but vacations are expensive. I think that is just really the key, is to like build in the little things that keep you connected and keep you excited. If you're somebody that has kids or are married or anything, like plan those date nights in, plan those date nights out, plan like, brunch in the middle of the, like a little day drinking. Like it doesn't always have to involve drinking. I just like to drink, plan, going on walks and like looking at things. I don't know. Like I think planning things to have something to look forward to is just, it keeps your mind focused on that instead of all of the crazy shit that happens. And my other piece of advice, though, is also be adaptable. I know sometimes I can get really disappointed if like plans don't always go my way, but you got to be like bamboo. And if you listen to a previous episode, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, well, I guess you better go listen to the previous episode. You got to be like bamboo. But yeah, keep life exciting by planning things and having things to look forward to. Even routines can be something to look forward to. If you're somebody who feels a lot of anxiety, a little routine, if you're like, my little routine is like a Monday through Wednesday, I'm going to do this, and then on Wednesday I do this. Like you have a certain class that you like to go do. That was what I loved about my improv class that I took, that I'm super looking forward to, is like having those little things to keep you connected, even on the days where you're like, oh, I don't know that I want to. I promise you, it is so good for you, and it will keep you excited about your life. That's my advice. All right, y'all, that is all I have for you this week. Again, thank you so much for joining me. As always, please, please, please give me a like, a subscribe, leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought, what you would like to hear. Send in some questions. I'm all ears on that. Follow me on social media if you don't already. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Sharra Coley. That's SHARRACOLEY. Until next time, y'all. Meow. Ah.